Fiddle again, and hello, it's Fo, and welcome back to Planet Zoo. We're doing our research, trying to even things out, jumping between animals, trying to make sure we're checking in the habitat section, seeing if we're unlocking any new enrichment items for our animals. Back at it. Never-ending upkeep of our zoo population. And our groups of animals. We need to check them periodically to prevent overpopulation or fighting for alpha status. Last episode we set up a hippopotamus enclosure. So we started researching the hippo. We'll get some lady hippos. Help fill up our enclosure. When we measured it out, it looked as though we could fit 9 adults and a few juveniles. So we'll aim for 6 or 7 adults to start off with. See how it goes. I'm sure it won't be long before we're having to release some hippos away to the wild. Get ourselves some conservation credits. A bit to watch, so we don't want to release too many animals and leave any alone without a partner. Keep an eye on that. Even with keeping on top of the population, going through the animal list, there still are instances of inbreeding you need to get ahead of. I'm checking to see if we can find any replacements. If we're constantly getting notifications for the same species, it'd be better changing the male out rather than getting rid of all the females one by one. We've got so much cash and conservation credits now that we're really expanding at the rate of our research. So we'd maybe be wise getting an extra person, an extra research station, building for them to go to. We don't want to expand so quickly that we are falling behind in our research. Yeah, there's nothing really stopping us hiring an extra member of staff to get it done. It's amazing the giraffe has come to pose for the talk, the lecture on giraffes. Yeah, almost as though it's been trained to turn up for the lecture. Guess if the educator is able to throw it treats, there's a chance that is what's going on. Exhibit species. High turnover of animals. Obviously it's quite a small enclosure they've got, so we have to stay on top of things. And encountering animals that won't let us release them to the wild for some reason. It's not giving us the option. So we're going the long way around. Getting to the point where we've got so many animals, even though we are releasing them, they're not disappearing instantly sometimes. It's just the game taking an extra second or two, and you get it going again. The animal gets boxed up and disappears. I've got to go through all the time and preen the populations. Try and work our way to all gold animals. Helps with the health of the animals and their attractiveness to the guests. Keep everything going in the right direction. Yeah, we've got so much money. We could certainly splash out on some more staff. We've got the conservation credits, we're getting more all the time. Splash out on some nice animals. Try and rotate the genetics of the zoo. Get ahead of any inbreeding situations. Yeah, I love giraffes. Yeah, you want to try and keep the best ones. Yeah, if the best ones are brother and sister, that's not much use. Just kicking the can down the road. Slowly over time, we're getting better and better animals. We've got a lot more warthogs than we do ostriches. So we're getting a few more of them. And with that, or we could do with trimming down our warthog population. Yeah, if you got too many animals in the enclosure, they will make too much mess for the keepers to pick up, which will become a disease risk. And the strain on the keepers themselves, giving them too much work to do. You can see where we've got overpopulation, they're not happy. A lot of preening. We're going to add our 4th point for our educator in the group that only has 3. Something to do with this little awkward corner. Yeah, everyone seems to be stressed out with these 4 enclosures being together, so we're going to split them up. 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Yeah, try and redistribute the staff more evenly. But give them less space to go on, less things to focus on. Should in theory make things simpler. We've got no mechanic research going on. So we're going to switch out our mechanic research for another keeper's hut. Another place for them to prepare food for the first habitat. That'll hopefully get things moving a bit smoother there as well. Yeah, we can expand the staff, the roster, and we can expand the staff buildings. I think decoration would make the staff a little bit happier. I don't know how much that would impact their effectiveness at their job. Maybe a small amount. Yeah, we'll get round to making things look pretty towards the end. Once we've got all the African animals in, or we've spent 100 years in the zoo, you know, whatever comes first. Popping in our first African themed building. It's basically 4 exhibits connected together. Try to make everything sort of square again. Yeah, we end up with some funky lines. This what we want. Make everything look a bit more natural. Can't have straight lines everywhere. We do have electricity reaching down this far. We'll try and expand out the range. Make sure we've got water purification for our animals as well. That's the two things we generally want to check for. Water and power. Can make water troughs that the keepers are going to come in and fill up, but it's just an extra thing for them to do. Keeping it simpler, giving them sort of natural looking water sources to drink from. Yeah, we'll get some more staff buildings in. Got the double keeper hut. That's gonna mean that we can prepare food for our exhibit animals, as well as another habitat that we're going to build around it at some point. We're looking for good pairs of exhibit animals. You probably could pick particular ones that breed quite quickly early on if you want it to be better with the money. Could sell a lot of things for cash quicker. Yeah, we've passed the financial troubles of the early game. Certainly don't have to worry about that anymore. So we're going to get our animals in, get the simulation going again. That can tell us how off the conditions are in our little habitats, these little vivariums. Set the temperature and the humidity. Get all the signs set up so people can come and see and be educated. This is going to give us a nice place for the train station eventually. Yeah, that's a long-term goal we're planning ahead for. Whether we'll ever get that far. We've never got that far before. I think if we do it, we're going to have to partially build the train track so we know what we're working with. And then sort of make the zoo fit around the train track. I don't think we can build the whole zoo and leave enough room put the train track in last. Don't think that's quite going to work. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, we're getting our research done for our exhibit animals and our big animals. Yeah, again with our exhibit animals, when we get our research done, we can make their vivariums better. Introduce cool logs and things for them to interact with. Get their happiness up through enrichment. So yeah, we're spinning lots of plates. Try to get new animals in. Stop inbreeding. Make sure animal populations don't go overboard. Not expand too quickly and get too many more animals before we've done our research. Yeah, a lot of things going on. A lot of time spent on pause. Yeah, the better you're getting on and the bigger your zoo is, the more management you have to do. It's like your work zones when you're covering a larger area and more different buildings and things. I think your workers get confused about exactly what you want them to do and where you want them to spend their time. And they spend a lot of time going back and forth. And with the amount of guests that we've got going on, try to get back and forth through parts of the zoo is going to be increasingly difficult for them. You've noticed that some of our animals are not happy, that they don't have enough foliage going on. Some cover. Don't know how we got away with this before. That's what I mean, that's one of the problems about expanding too quickly. Yeah, we'd rather make sure that we've got happy animals than all of the animals, like we're Noah. I've always wanted to have a zoo where you get all of the base game animals. Yeah, we've never got that far yet. Hopefully this will be the time. Yeah, if we just aim for getting all the African animals, we'll start there. I'll try and stop them escaping. Yes, we've got some elaborate platforms and things now for our mandrills to climb on. Yeah, we'll raise the walls. Try to have a happy middle ground. We've given them climbable surfaces while still try to stop them from escaping. Again, we're trying to balance getting new staff with upgrading staff. Educators are still not happy. We've changed their work zones to make it nice and clear what they have to do. Gave them 2 months in between lectures that they have to give. Yet they still don't seem happy. Still seem to be overworked. So we can try and give them all promotions, pay them all more money. Send them for some training. That might make them slightly more effective. But hopefully make them less unhappy because they're getting more money for the grueling work that they're doing. Again, we can add some foliage. Decorate the enclosures a little bit. Make the animals a little happier. Especially with all this man-made stuff we've got going on in their enclosure. Yeah, I want happy animals. I want healthy animals. Don't want them to be hungry. So yeah, we've got to can't just let them overpopulate. Do have to send some off. I think in other modes of the game you can send them to other zoos, or you can trade them with other players online. We're playing just the basic single player mode. It's just the game that's generating the lists of animals that we can buy, giving us prices for trades and generating the credits for us when we're releasing them away to the wild. Did play the sort of story mode for a little bit. It gives you some of the skills that you're going to need. I didn't finish it. I'm not an expert, but it is an enjoyable game nonetheless. Played some Elite Dangerous, made by the same people. And this is certainly a lot less anxiety inducing. We've hired an extra person to do our research. We've got an extra research building that we popped in our last group of staff buildings. let's catch up. Getting those 4 species at the same time. Again, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We want to forget about adding our bins and benches and donation points. Look at these people, so many. It's no wonder our staff are struggling to get around. The place is completely chock-a-block. At least the animals aren't too stressed out with the noise that this lot are making. Yeah, the place is looking good. We are making good progress. Things aren't falling apart yet. Getting a notification that one of our staff members and educators thinking about quitting. We've already lost one. It pushed us into changing the work zones. Give them less distance to walk around in. Okay, we may need to make another adjustment. Whether that be the work zones or getting more staff. At least we have researched some of the diseases, so when they come up, we don't have to jump on them and start researching them on the back foot. We should really let our 3-star vet go and do vet things and hire another 1-star to do the research. We don't want to get rid of our albino female because that's rare. We'd get rid of the male, but there's not a good one in the market. So yeah, we would be good to get another male in. Can't get rid of all the females one by one. Yeah, especially not the albino one. Yeah, it's pretty rare. So we should encourage it in the genes if we can. We find a male and female gorilla that belong in the African section. It's for a couple and we can afford them. We're going to go for it. And make another enclosure. Yeah, we're going to need more power over here. Have a little staff area right on the edge of the map. Again, we're going to start using these African buildings since we've researched the theme. And really, we're going to be decorating to this afterwards. I'm sure the game's going to make them better than we would. So yeah, we're going to get all our staff buildings and make sure they're out of the way. They're not going to have a negative impact on our guests. We're going to make a rough enclosure for our gorillas. Again, it's going to be way too big because, you know, that's how I roll. You can see in the Zoopedia how big you really need to make things. Estimate what population, even at maximum population, I'll tell you how many like to live together in a little group, gender mix they prefer and everything. So yeah, that's how you should get your size right for the habitat. Things I get caught out with are the swimming part. It says that they want some water that they can get into. It has to be 6 meters wide and 1 meter deep. So we can select the sort of size that we want. choose the good out of foundation. Again, make slopes on the edges so they can get in and out easy. I'll give them a drinking source and also a source that they can get into if they want a dip. We'll add in all the climbing stuff. They share some of the enrichment items with the mandrills. So thankfully, yes, we've got a few things that will keep them happy straight off the bat. Yeah, we'll get a cool enclosure for them. Hopefully that's going to be tall enough. They can get in there for some privacy. Make sure that we get the heaters in. Some bedding. And now that we've got the power extended down here, we'll be fine for getting some more signs. A few more speakers. Keep the education going further down here, where we'd run out of power before. You can use the overlay as a guide, a heat map for your power. If you're wasting time putting up screens of things that are going to be out with the range. So as always, we'll get a new work zone set up for a new habitat. Make sure we've got somebody hire one of each basically. Keep a 1-star mechanic just looking after one thing at a time. Just one habitat and a group of buildings. Make sure that we've got everything covered. Don't want to leave a situation where we don't have a mechanic going to check on a habitat barrier for a long time. It will degrade, the animals will escape. It'll be a bit of a disaster of our own making. So yeah, it might be a little easy on the mechanics if they're only looking after one habitat and a couple of buildings. But that's fine. Means we don't need to promote them and they'll be happy. Whereas when we're seeing that we're promoting people up to 3 stars and they're still unhappy, yeah, at that point we might need to hire new staff and double up with people. Don't know about going up to 4 stars and 5 stars, whether it's diminishing returns. I think before it was financially a bad idea, that it would start costing you a lot more money when you're promoting all the staff. But yeah, we've got the money. So we'll try and get our educational stuff set up. Try and get the habitat set up the way the gorillas like it. With some rock and some soil. Yeah, they're happy enough with the water. They're happy enough with the climbing. The amount of shelter and everything they've got. That's a good start. Keep the education going along here. And then make the path go right alongside the habitat. Don't know if we want to expand out any further in that direction. We wanted to keep it relatively even. The left and right of center, where their hippos are, and our stuff over here. Yeah, remember if we forgot the heaters, went back in and got that done. Yeah, we're making a little bit of progress on the diseases. animal that's sort of stranded. Just going to release that to the wild. Save trying to move it back into the enclosure. Who knows how it got up there. Yeah, we won't worry about that. Yeah, a lot of animal management. It's the hard work of the zoo, the unglamorous bit. Yes, maintaining the population. As I say, with these exhibit animals, yeah, they breed like crazy. Some of them more than others, but yeah, generally faster than the other animals. So you've got to be back in here more frequently to release some away at the wild or to trade them for cash. Your report still isn't perfect. We've still got work to go, things to do, animals to get. Some of the animals maybe aren't happy in the habitats, or the habitats aren't perfectly set up for their needs. Yeah, we could use the report to sort of zone in on things and try and get that perfect. See if it's the same things they keep complaining about. Yeah, generally everything's going well. Looking at pygmy hippos. An article that a new one had been born in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of attention drawn to them with Mudang. There's one called Haggis. Yes, cute. Yes, they are quite endangered. So it's a good idea for us to get a habitat for some. I misread what we're going to need. Space and everything. The requirements. The original size that I did build would probably be the right size, because I've neglected to give them account for their water. Basically, I want to give them just water to drink out of and splash around in. And I'm only taking the land size into account. So yeah, I've looked at one figure and totally neglected another figure, because they want it to be about half and half. Accessible water for them to swim around in and stay wet, and dry land. There should have been clues that I've got so much enrichment items and things that it completely clogs up the initial setup, where I think this is all the space they need. Lock off the height adjustment. Get everything set up with the brick and the two-way. We've got the animals adopted. The starting population. And add in all the enrichment items that we've got unlocked already. As you see, we're struggling to find room to put them all in. So it should be a clue that we need a much bigger enclosure than this. I did think, why am I having to crush all this stuff in? Maybe I shouldn't use it all. But then I want to use as much of it as possible, keep them happy. Got all the work zone and everything set up for them. I'm going to have the staff. Yeah, we set up everything right apart from the habitat itself. We need to extend the habitat little by little and make their swimming area a little bit bigger, little by little. Yes, I don't know that straight away. a few things before the latest arrivals have gone through the quarantine and get them into their habitat. You can see that they're not happy. Tells us we haven't got a mechanic assigned to them either. At least the game will warn us. So yeah, we're trying to move things around to give them a little bit more room. And we're just going to do this over and over until they've got enough room to go swimming in. Want to make sure that the food, these are all sort of food enrichment activities. We've got to fill up these sort of barrels and things for them to nudge the food out of. So we've got to make sure the keeper can get across. And all these things are accessible for the keeper to fill up. And we can't keep stretching things out to that side because your panels can only go so long before they break. And you have to go back down to smaller sections. We're getting right up close to the 10 years to the end of the episode. I'm gonna sneak a little bit over into January. Just because we're constantly pausing and unpausing until we get it right. Until they are happy. We can let them go. Until next time. Yeah, I don't want to create a funny shape. If I keep extending it out in this direction. Don't want to necessarily push it back behind the trees and behind the staff stuff. Yeah, we make an awkward little extension out here. Space that they can still navigate and use some of the enrichment items. But where we can tuck other things away. Really maximise the space that we've got for them swimming in. We'll get real close right to orange. It's worth going that extra little bit to get it done. Again, don't want to go at the edge. Make sure we've got space for everyone. Keepers and the animals. And there we go. We'll come back next time. Pick up where we left off from. Till then, do take it easy. And I'll see you all in the next one.